4 years following the end of Sri Lanka's 3-decade-long conflict, where does Sri Lanka's potential really lie? Is it on the youth of this island nation, or is it somewhere else? To discuss all this and more, I have a special guest this evening who has flown in from India. He is Dr. Rahul Mirchandani, the founder president of the Commonwealth Asia Alliance of Young Entrepreneurs. A very good evening and welcome to Biz First in Focus, Dr. Rahul.
Thank you.
Nice having you on board. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved in the Commonwealth Asia Alliance of Young Entrepreneurs?
Well, I'm a business person from India. Been in business for the last 14 years. And when I decided to start the Commonwealth Asia Alliance, it basically stemmed from the idea that we wanted to build bridges between the 8 countries in the Commonwealth Asia region. What we did find is the trade between our nations is minuscule. We hardly do less than 10% of trade with each other, though we are some of the fastest growing economies in the world. And this was a lost opportunity in our backyard. And we believe that as young people, if we lose out on these opportunities, then it's really not worth our own while. So in order to build bridges, we said that building trust, building friendships across our borders is crucial. And we started the alliance with an objective of networking young entrepreneurs from 8 countries and also use this network to build bridges and also to actually create a better entrepreneurship ecosystem.
You started off the Commonwealth Asia Alliance of Young Entrepreneurs, or CAAYE, 2 years ago. Have you been successful in your role to make an impact in the region?
We've actually made a significant impact in terms of connecting people. We've connected today 25,000 young entrepreneurs spread out over 10 member organizations in our network. Our network is unique in the sense that it's a network of networks. We already have networks that are promoting youth entrepreneurship in the region. What we have done is put an umbrella to connect all of these entrepreneurship organizations together. And with that, our access, our reach, and our influence in this region is significant. We do work in 2 ways. One is we actually do action projects through our member organizations, and that actually goes out to develop the youth entrepreneurs, develop skills in them, mentor them, actually provide access to finance information, and also look at developing and celebrating an entrepreneurship culture. 2 years of work have actually done significant amount of projects that have led to each one of these various focus areas. In addition to that, we also do our advocacy work, where we work with policy interventions of government and advise to our governments by giving the voices of our young entrepreneurs and tell them what exactly we would like to see in their policy statements. Our major success has been that the Commonwealth Youth Ministers meeting actually endorsed our recommendations formally. So their communique mentions in so many words that they are recognizing our Commonwealth Asia Alliance communique, and they have asked the youth ministers and their governments to take cognizance of our recommendations and put them in their policy statements.
So how many individuals or how many members are enrolled with your organization at present, Rahul?
Well, we have 10 member organizations. These include 8 member countries of Commonwealth Asia and Nepal as an invitee member. We do have a total of 25,000 entrepreneurs who are served by these member organizations. And therefore, through these 10 very, very strong organizations in our country, in 8 countries, we have that access to 25,000 people.
There are many organizations. Why is your organization different from the other organizations that are looking at motivating young entrepreneurs, that is looking at shaping the world? Why is it different?
Most young entrepreneurs get together at a country level. There are some significantly strong organizations at the country level. What's different about CAAYE is that it actually creates a family of young entrepreneurs across borders. And in this borderless world, what we do in our alliance is not only to shape the entrepreneurship skills, but also work on bilateral projects. So the idea of doing bilaterals and like a summit like today is a multilateral project where we actually get people and literally put them together for 3 days and look at capturing business opportunities and learning from each other. Now, we believe that a constant engagement throughout the year through their member organizations makes us very unique, because we're not doing a one-off summit. We're actually working through the year with these people and the organizations and having this summit as a capstone event, which almost is a celebration of a year of work. So that's what really makes us different. And most importantly, we are focused on creating bridges across borders and across borders of Asia with a specific focus on entrepreneurship building.
How do you define a young entrepreneur, Rahul?
Well, a young entrepreneur for us is a person who is in the 18 to 40 age group. The reason we keep 18 to 40 is because that's the largest definition of youth if you look at all our eight countries. Some of us define it as 35, some of us as 40, but we want to be an inclusive group that takes everyone according to the definition of 18 to 40, having a profession in their respective countries where they have either founded a business or have a significant stake in running the business. So basically a person who has significantly invested in the business, a person who has founded a business, but basically a person who's taking the risk in that venture. So a person who takes risk and a person who's young, for us, is a young entrepreneur.
During the last 2 years, have you been able to bring out the young entrepreneurship to the forefront, Rahul? What I mean to say is, have you been able to shed some light to the problems they face in respective countries, in the 7 countries, the 8 countries that you were referring to earlier?
In fact, we have conducted a specific survey even before we began. In fact, our visioning workshop, which took place across the nations, was an idea of exactly identifying that. What we have identified is 5 key areas that all our member countries and young entrepreneurs in them actually are focusing on. There are 5 issues that focus on all of them. One is education and skills. All of them want to be trained to be risk takers. Our curriculums need to be designed to facilitate that. The second is a mentorship ecosystem. They believe that we want to create a network of peers that they can learn from each other for which we as CAAYE have a partnership with the International Labour Organization to provide mentorship for our young entrepreneurs. So that's a great platform that we have. The third area is access to finance. They do believe that funding sources need to look at young entrepreneurs as bankable individuals, and to increase that bankability, we sort of try and work with the various member governments to look at access to finance. The fourth is creating an entrepreneurship culture. We believe that we are a region of a lot of entrepreneurs, but we don't celebrate entrepreneurship. And to look at entrepreneurship as a viable first career option is something that we actively advocate. And the last one is innovation and incubation. We believe that we want to create a culture where young entrepreneurs learn to think differently, and they actually create businesses that are focused on innovation and next practices, that is better than best practices, in order to serve social problems. So we look at business with a purpose. That's
have you had new entrepreneurs enrolling to CAAYE?
We have new member organizations that enroll. As I said, we are a network of organizations. We're not a network of individuals. So therefore, we do have member organizations that have enrolled in the last 2 years. Today, as I said, we are at 10 member organizations spread out of 9 countries.
Last year, you all had your first summit in Bombay, and now in Sri Lanka. Is there any specific reason to select Sri Lanka as a destination this time around?
Well, Sri Lanka has a lot to offer. I think it's a country in Asia that has a lot of things going for it, especially today that they have peace in the region. I think young entrepreneurs are catalysts of change, and we wanted to showcase Sri Lanka in all its glory. When we had our summit in Mumbai, we showcased Mumbai in all its glory. When we get people to a city, we want them to experience the city. We want them to also experience innovation that takes place in sectors in this particular region, and also look at business opportunities. So it's a summit that actually opens people's eyes. We tell our entrepreneurs to come here, and we are sure that they go back with a completely new pair of eyes, because they look at a country and its opportunities differently.
How can young entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka influence the country's rebuilding process? All this and more after this short commercial break. Stay connected, stay with Biz First in Focus. Welcome back to Biz First in Focus. My guest this evening is Dr. Rahul Mirchandani, the founder president of the Commonwealth Asia Alliance of Young Entrepreneurs. Nice to have you on the show. We were talking about how you all started, how your organization has been able to influence partners in the region, and so on and so forth. Now my focus is on Sri Lanka. Rahul, I want to know, do you think young entrepreneurs can play an integral part in the rebuilding process 4 years following the end of the conflict? in Sri Lanka?
I certainly do. In fact, young entrepreneurs are going to inherit the future. And in fact, it is not only their duty, but it's their future that they're going to be rebuilding. So yes, they have a duty to actually capture the opportunities that exist in this rebuilding process. It is a process that is going to take a fair amount of time, but I believe that every brick that is laid to create a new country and it's all its glory will be an opportunity for the young entrepreneurs to capitalize on.
Do we have the right kind of environment to promote young entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka?
Well, youth entrepreneurship is something that is an extremely wide area. It looks at several sectors, several ministries, several people who are involved. I know that the Sri Lankan ministries of youth have been very proactive whenever we want to talk about youth entrepreneurship, youth empowerment, financial inclusion and financial literacy of young people. I know we've done several interactions with the ministries here in those particular areas, and they've always been very forthcoming.
Are we investing right?
Well, I think we are. I think the country is such that it needs investment right now. Every time I come to Sri Lanka, I see something new. I see that there's an improved infrastructure project somewhere. There is an improved roadway somewhere, and I do believe that these are signs that the country is getting its entire piece together, all the pieces of the puzzle together. So I do believe that the investment is being focused in the right direction.
Sri Lanka just eradicated terrorism 4 years ago, Rahul, and there's so much of potential in the north and east of the island where there's so much of youth who are vying to do something different in the country. Are we motivating them enough? Are we capitalizing on their strengths?
Well, I believe that every government would like to focus on that. Frankly, I'm not really been to the north and the east. I know about the opportunities there. I know the fact that youth are there who are looking for jobs, or looking for opportunities. And if we don't capitalize on this time, which is not going to last too long, the youth will start moving to other places, and then that would lead to other problems of migration and other issues. So we do believe that creating opportunities and in those areas which are really rebuilding themselves is a very, very crucial part of the government's mandate.
What must governments do in order to promote young entrepreneurship, that concept, Rahul?
Well, I think it has to start from school. I believe that whenever we look at an entire generation getting influenced at risk-taking, we believe the first thing it starts is getting our kids financially literate. One of the things that CAAYE actively advocates is that we look at changing curriculums of financial literacy right from the school level, and it has to start young. I mean, if our kids don't understand the value of money, the science of money, they're not going to be able to become entrepreneurs when they actually graduate from college. So it starts from there. Get the kids financially literate. After that financial literacy stage, we need to get them to understand what risk is. I think where we stop sort of getting our kids to become entrepreneurs is when we stop when we stop them from crossing a road without us holding their hand. That's where risk-taking gets scuttled. And the moment you scuttle risk-taking, I think that's where parents have to come in and say that we have got to force our kids to take risk and also celebrate failures. I think all of these things have to come together.
Rahul, is it realistic to do that?
Of course it is. I mean, I've taken my son skydiving, and he's only 9. And I do believe that when I did that, people thought I was completely crazy. I've taken him to see environments which are not very conducive for children because I wanted him to take that risk. There are several things that we do as parents that actually scuttle our kids and keep them overly protected. I was a protected child, but I have learned after the protection actually ended, when you're off your comfort zone and you actually go there. I do believe that.
So what motivated you, Rahul?
Well, what motivated me was, one, when I finished my school. I finished my master's in Australia, and when I came back, I got into a business that I did not know anything about. I got into an agriculture sector. That was the first major challenge for me. For me to take that challenge and convert it into an opportunity and learn about agriculture from farmers, which are the best teachers I have ever had, that actually motivated me, because some of these guys in the rural areas of India are perhaps better entrepreneurs than some of the celebrated entrepreneurs that you've ever seen. So seeing that passion of making their lives within the maximum of constrained circumstances really motivated me and said, hey, if they can do it, why not you? With the education and with the skills that you've acquired.
Rahul, many individuals believe that they need a capital to start a business. Do you really need a capital to start a business? Because you see individuals like Steve Jobs, who started off very young, who just started off with a little bit of electronics, a little bit of IT, and today there was Apple in the making. Do you think capital is really needed?
Well, capital is certainly needed. I do believe that, but what confuses people is all entrepreneurship is not large business. Micro-entrepreneurship is as respectable an entrepreneurship venture as a large business venture. And I think the moment they understand that and they say that, hey, starting small is not bad, I can be a big fish in a small pond. And there are several small ponds out there waiting to be captured. And I do believe that if you have that limited capital, if you can get that capital in, a respectable business can begin. And of course, growth then comes as a result of your actions. It's also one step at a time. I think people who look at capital as a constraint perhaps are wrong, because there's enough money chasing a great idea. I firmly believe in that. It's also the way you make a pitch, the way you pitch for that money. Sometimes people do not know where to look. Sometimes people don't know how to pitch, and then they say money is not available. So money is certainly important, but you need to know where to look and how to make a pitch for that resource available.
In order to be a young entrepreneur, innovation is a must.
Yeah.
How do you define innovation?
Well, innovation for me is a next practice. It's a new way of doing things. I do believe that our countries face development challenges, and if you look at a healthcare or a education or a skills building sector as a sector, any product or service that fills a gap in that sector has to be a new way of doing things. A new way of doing things for me is a next practice. It's a complete redefining of the price performance parameters of a product. It redefines scale, it redefines speed, it redefines precision. So anything that takes these four things together is for me an innovative venture, but it most certainly is a new way of doing things.
When you really look at the region, do you find individuals who innovate nowadays?
Of course they do. I think a lot of innovation happens at the grassroots level. People don't hear about it. In India, you have several innovations that we call indigenous innovations, indigenous ideas, things that never are written about in books. But when you go out in the field and you see, you see how pre-germinated seeds become a viable business opportunity because they are grown in thrown away ice cube containers. Now that's grassroots innovation. It's innovation because someone there saw a gap and actually filled that gap with something that was uniquely opportunity. So I think innovation happens everywhere. It's just that we need to go out and identify these innovations and celebrate them.
Organizations like CAAYE, what have you all done in order to promote these indigenous innovators?
Well, one of the things we do is, for instance, we have this year run a CAAYE challenge. Our CAAYE challenge was basically looking at entrepreneurs who shape a better world. And the purpose was to celebrate an innovative idea that filled a development problem, a gap in the development problem, and did it well and did it profitably. So what we did is we set out the parameters. We said, yes, you have to do something which is a new way of doing things. You have to do something that's profitable, and you also have to do something that serves a purpose for your country. So we've actually created a platform where we've celebrated that innovation, and today we awarded the innovator from Malaysia who has started this venture. So what we do believe is we've created a platform of taking innovation and scaling it up. We also at the country level run innovation programs. In India, for instance, we run the India Innovation Initiative with the Confederation of Indian Industry as part of Young Indians. So what we do there is that we take the best possible business ideas, innovations in the various regions and place them at regional and national fairs. And the winners actually get incubation for a year. Now these are ways in which platforms, our member organizations and ourselves have created to take innovation, motivate entrepreneurs to be innovative and celebrate that.
What are the challenges faced by young entrepreneurs, and does governments really help them to move forward? All this and more after this short commercial break with Dr. Rahul Mirchandani. Stay connected, stay with Biz First in Focus. Welcome back to Biz First in Focus. Rahul, tell me, what are the challenges faced by young entrepreneurs in the world today?
Well, the young entrepreneurs face challenges, of course, as I said, of access to finance. That's the first major challenge they face. They also face the fact that they need a supportive ecosystem that celebrates them and actually facilitates their business to grow. These are two major challenges. Of course, the other challenges include infrastructure, a skills mismatch, and of course lack of mentorship. These are five very key areas that every young entrepreneur, no matter where they are in the world, always faces.
Do you think respective governments must invest in the people, in human resources, in order to make sure that the country rebuilds themselves?
It is very important. There are not enough jobs being made compared to the number of graduates coming out into the job market. One of the ways to overcome that is to get people who are graduating to create jobs rather than line up to fill jobs that already exist. Entrepreneurs create these jobs. Even if they create jobs for 3 others, they are creating that environment where they're not only solving an unemployment problem, but they're also making themselves very productively occupied. I think a productively occupied youth population is critical for any nation on earth. If they're not productively occupied, then there is a problem of unrest, there's a problem of a social time bomb that gets created. Now, we do believe that productively employing young people is the mandate of every government, and they have to do it for the sake of not only prosperity, but also peace.
Today, during the summit, you have close to around 150 to 200 delegates participating, Rahul. What is the message that you would want them to take back home?
Well, the key message that, of course, the summit theme is a very key message, which is profit with purpose. We are saying that the inspiration that these young people who have gathered here should gain is that there are businesses that have made phenomenal progress in a development need of a country. At the same time, they've been profitable doing it. That's one major message that we would like to send out. Most of the sessions have actually focused on this area. The other major message that we would like to take out is that every entrepreneur has a responsibility to take their passion and actually make it into a purposeful venture. And this can actually be done by sharing with each other and by learning from their peers across the world. One message that I would be leaving with them is, of course, the fact that each one of them needs to be, as I call it, a firefly. And the reason we say it's a firefly is that fireflies are the only thing on earth that have the power to illuminate darkness with their own energy. They don't take energy from outside. And they can only work in groups. Fireflies can't work alone. So that's the message for our young people, is that you have to work together in groups. Get that passion from inside to illuminate themselves. And in the pitch of darkness, they will create a future in the new world.
As the founder president of CAAYE, Commonwealth Asia Alliance of Young Entrepreneurs, what is your message to respective governments across the world?
Well, my message to all our governments is, one, listen to us, and second, recognize the fact that we are bankable people. We are here to create opportunities for ourselves as well as for our countries, and we do believe that we have a very strong, very consolidated voice that we would like to bring to their attention. We will take all possible steps to do that. All we are requesting them is to sit up and listen to us, and they've been very proactive in the past. I'm sure they will be proactive on that in the future as well.
What do you hope to do in the future as a founded president of CAAYE?
Well, in the future, we are looking at, of course, expanding our base in terms of number of countries. Currently, we do have 9 countries. We're looking at taking further countries in the region. That's one major opportunity. We do also want to increase the projects that we do to promote youth entrepreneurship in our respective nations. We've already done several projects in the focus areas. We want to go deeper and reach a much larger base of young people. And more importantly, we want that governments recognize us as the voice of the youth entrepreneurs of Asia. And that's, as a consolidated view, the most constructive contribution we can make is to have a common, united voice.
Thank you very much, Rahul, for joining us right here on Biz First and Focus. Pleasure to have you on board today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.